One stream is live, next stream is live, third stream is on. And so good morning. Welcome to another Workflow Wednesday. This Wednesday, I have some guests from Northcraft Analytics, and we're going to talk about CIO dashboards. We hear that in many different places, and there's this quest to get the answers that we need from all the different systems that are in our enterprise and pull that together. That doesn't have to be an impossible dream. And so with me are my two guests. Let me unpin my screen if I can find that and introduce. I have with me both Ryan Williams and John Cullom. John and Ryan, if you give a quick intro.
Great. Hi, Troy. I'm one of the founders of Northcraft Analytics, and for purposes of this discussion, we'll be showing you how to build a CIO dashboard, which is a topic near and dear to my heart. I've been in the business intelligence practice for probably longer than they've ever been calling it that. So, turning that onto the IT space and working with ServiceNow has been a great pleasure. And thanks for having us, Troy. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And Ryan.
Nice to meet you guys. I'm Ryan Williams. I'm the CTO at Northcraft Analytics, past customer at Cargill. So I was a leader in the office of the CIO at Cargill, and we brought Northcraft into Cargill many years ago and rolled out enterprise dashboards globally for them. So you'll hear me reference some stories from that, some stories from some of our other large clients that we work from, but looking forward to the opportunity, and thanks, Troy, for the chance.
You're welcome. Yes, I am part of Thirdera, and Northcraft is one of Thirdera's strategic partners. And so that's one of the reasons we like working together. And where that really comes together is, as you'll see from Northcraft, we build those CIO dashboards, and we'll talk about those some more. Thirdera can step in and help improve ServiceNow and get more value from it, so it shows up in the dashboards. But today, we want to dig into that a little bit more. You gave us a great background around Northcraft. You talked about some of your big customers, but there's really three topics I want to talk through. One is dashboards. I hear that in many times that I talk to customers. I need a dashboard. I need another dashboard. What's the biggest challenge that you guys have helped organizations step through when you come into a new place and they're asking for that quest of, I need better dashboards?
Right. Yeah. Well, really at the root of it is access to data. Right. So the problems that people have is really getting the flow of large amounts of data from disparate data sources into one single place so that they can tell the whole story of the organization. Right. What we always tell, the CIOs is that IT is in the business of performing magic. Let's tell that entire story. Right. So there is no project in an organization that isn't supported by IT. Where it's a fundamental process. So, to tell the story beyond just, the keeping the lights on kind of story that we're kind of stuck telling a lot, that involves IT service management process data. It involves IT operations management data, which really does say, hey, the lights are on. But it also is closely involved with Agile and app dev and DevOps, to say, what kind of functionality am I rolling out for the organization? How efficiently am I doing that? You also want to be able to tell the story of, like, this is the functionality that we put out in the last 30 days, right? This is the magic that we're doing. You want to be able to tell it in one place, right? And that's the CIO dashboard. You're communicating the success of that entire department. Really getting beyond, KTLO, KPIs. There's a lot of acronyms for you, but
every niche has their acronyms, right? And IT has no shortness. I think that's key. And one of the things I'd like to hear from you too, Ryan, is you look at those different data sources as they come from different places, bringing those together. What is one transformational story? You talked a little bit about Cargill. I know you work with some very large organizations. What's one story that's just front of mind of how having those different data sources together has helped an organization transform and celebrate the transformations that they've done?
Right, right. Well, a lot of the times people get stuck, especially large organizations like Cargill, large organizations like Exxon. They're really maxing out some of the things like ServiceNow, or even, not to say a dirty word, back when Remedy. They were too large as an organization to really present all of that data in one place, right? So if you
Right.
wanted to look backwards 3 months, that would kind of dim the lights on the relational that we're
Sure.
required to pull that information up, right? So, but what we're finding, and what we can show people that they can do is there's a benefit in combining all that information in a single pane of glass, right? So you can tell the whole story, and that's kind of what we were talking about before. But when you bring that information together in one place, it supplements, one data source will supplement another, right? And where we've had a lot of interesting successes and capabilities that we like to talk about is bringing forth predictive analytics to say, okay, show me in my panoply of infrastructure, what servers are likely to have a problem in the next 7 days? Where am I likely to face a network outage, right? So all infrastructure coughs before it gets sick, right? But the information you need
Right.
to diagnose that disease is you need, the telemetry, like the heartbeat and the blood pressure. Well, that comes from your monitoring, right? And then the demographics, and say how old or what type of person is this, or where does it live? That comes from your CMDB. And then to talk about that patient history, to say, have you had an operation recently, or what's the history of heart attacks? Because you're looking for infrastructure heart attacks. That comes through your IT service management data. And bringing that all together is that's really what you need to reliably predict incidents, problems in the future. We always say, you can't predict somebody kicking out a cord, but you watch infrastructure decline over time. It's more chronic than it is acute, and so those models can be really powerful.
And with many of our clients, right, we're dealing with large volumes of data, lots of history, multiple years, right? So some of your Cargill, Exxon, we're dealing with years, 5-7 years, of data, at sub-second response. So you can filter all the way back to that 7 years, or get an average over the whole piece, or something up to live, right? So, I mean, all by what you're looking at, what matters to you, on that CIO dashboard, right? So that's really the power in that speed. And that's what, even myself, being a leader at Cargill, what we struggled with prior is that volume of data, being able to report on it, right? It's one source of truth, all of those type of things, and having that much volume of data, at your disposal. Never saw that before. And when we brought Northcraft in, and what I've seen with many other customers since I've joined Northcraft, it's night and day difference what it does for each organization.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really the different data sources, the volume of those data sources, and the history of it. So you're not just looking at point in time, but you're seeing that history of how that's changed through that time. Very cool.
And there are two tenets in our approach, right? Which it's speed to value and right tool for the right job, right? So speed to value comes with, as much as we don't like to say it, is IT shops look similar, right? Especially in a large organization, they have the same tooling, right? So there's no reason to take the approach of, let's just connect up to the data and see what we can do with it, right? Everybody's facing the same problems. So we have out-of-the-box solutions for ServiceNow, for SolarWinds, for the tooling that's common in a large organization, so that we can just kind of show up and give you the out-of-the-box view. This is where you are. Now, every organization, while they're similar, they're all different. Then it's about using the right tool for the right job, right? And these are big data tools which allow data to flow, and then analysts, whether they're developers or not, right? Because the way you interact with the data is through Excel or Power BI. These are not developer level tools. When you put analytics in the hands of the people that are actually doing the work, they make the reports and the tooling. They know their organization. They can tailor to that last mile. And then, you really see, that journey that sometimes takes organizations, the better part of a decade to even start to have data move into a report, and much less stabilize it, much less operationalize it. They have it from day one, right? And so, that's what you can bring, and then leave the client to solve the problems that that they need to solve. Like, what are my projects that I'm trying to support in the next 18 months to achieve strategic goals? That's what you want them doing, not to ever worry about where's my data coming from. Hey, let's throw 3 people on this to support a job, press that button every day. Forget that, right? Automate it, leave it in place, and it'll live forever.
Yeah. I like that. There's so many things that we do at Thirdera looking at automation of things, but I want to pull on that thread a little bit with you guys and talk about building it yourself, right? That there's a bunch of different data sources, and most organizations have some brilliant staff, and sometimes not just some. Many of the clients we work with have brilliant people in their organization that understand data. They understand data analytics. And oftentimes that ends up, at least from my perception, is those organizations saying, well, I've got BI tools. I can do that myself, and kind of back away. Where have you seen as Northcraft, as you come into those clients, where you've been able to kind of walk them through what are those headaches and hurdles and ditches they're going to really struggle with doing it yourself? And that'll lead to our next conversation, where I really want to talk about speed, but I want to talk about what are some of the DIY challenges, because most organizations, like you said, have the data sources, they have the BI tools.
Right. No, absolutely. And I would say in every organization that we approach, build versus buy is on the table, right? Mm-hmm. And we are, especially even in IT shops, right? Who do we manage? We manage engineers, right? So if we turn to our staff and we ask, hey, can you build this for us? Engineers love to build, right? The answer is always yes. I can build that for you. So we as managers of engineers need to know, when is the right time to say, I'm going to take something off the shelf, and when is the right time for me to pursue that development myself, right? And is this the most valuable place that I can put my best guys? Because that's what it's going to take. So I will say, what's in, Northcraft's been around for 14 years, right? So we've seen some things. There is, the number of people, the time involved in building this, and you've got to build the ETL and the 10,000 metrics that go with it, and the hundreds of visualizations that you get out of the box. And along the way, don't make a mistake in platform choice, where a vendor goes under, or there's incompatibility that pops up that wasn't there before. There has to be a successful platform decision. You don't really know till you get to the end. So there's risk. And then, fundamentally risk. What are the odds of, I'm going to spend 3 years developing this, and I'm going to come out with nothing because, Steve wins the lottery, Karen moves to warmer climes, or is recruited by your competitor because now she's a, hot BI skill. And are you going to get the attention of your BI department on a back office application? They're not going to get pulled away to a tax or regulatory issue or a line of business solving. It's tough to get that direct attention from the BI shop, even when they are, pros of pros. What we try to take off the table is, we've got a platform approach that's, served us well through 14 years. We've got, the cloud approach that says, you want to turn this on, we need a re-credential, and we'll flip on an instance, and you've got dashboards the next day. And then we've got the visualizations and metrics that have come out of, hundreds of clients that, been facing the same kind of problems. It's not even industry to industry. It's a single function. So, speed, no risk, many hands make light work. Right. So,
and I'll add to that just real briefly, what we've run across with, clients that we meet, the struggles that they're facing is that, speed to pull it, the pre-built analytics, the things like that, trying to understand the data models of all these different, applications. They're very complex and they're all different, right? And so, we have, our code is built to identify and pull over, custom pieces and, cater to your business needs, right? So that's that's really, at speed again. And I know we'll get to that topic in a minute, but we're kind of leading into that. So I just wanted to share that little bit, of what different clients we've walked across, what they, companies that have brought down instances of their, environments pulling it wrong, and, spending, millions really modeling them themselves and not coming out with the result that they wanted, and on and on. So I just thought I'd share a couple.
No, I appreciate it. And John and Ryan, I think that was one of the keys as we've met and as we've talked through the last couple of months, is that experience, right? So it's like knowledge, experience, wisdom, those three, if that's the progression we go through, you guys bring that wisdom and you bring that tool set that's been developed through those years. And that is hard to reinvent, right? It's there's lots of analogies, lots of stories about, those 10,000 hours to build, really expertise in an area. And that kind of leads to our next section that we wanted to talk about, is speed. And related to this is, as people are watching this, if you'd like to hear more, the best way to reach out is to reach out to one of the three of us to ask to have a live demo, and where we can, connect with you guys and talk through what that would look like. But in this session, what we want to do is I really want to set it up for John and Ryan to walk us through, can you really do this quickly? One of the challenges I've heard you guys face is, we can move faster than your legal department.
Yeah.
And so talk through that a little bit. If we're looking at the process of onboarding, getting through NDAs and other things, and many clients we work with, those we already have paper in place, but that takes time to build through that.
Right.
Many people talk about BI, it's months, and so the legal ends up being a small portion in comparison. But as we work with you guys, tell me how you flip that.
Right. So if it is okay, I'm just going to let a video play in the background, and we can talk through this, because speed is an interesting thing, right? Speed kills, but it's a killer app in a lot of bits. If it's okay, I'm going to share the screen, and then we get to see ourselves. And
Sounds good.
Let me know if you can see me.
Yep. Maximize that.
So, what we call this video, this is a CIO dashboard in 5 minutes, right? So,
5 minutes.
What we're talking about, right? We'll start in ACD, right? I'm not going to talk through the whole thing, but it's a fun video to go while you're going. Speed really has a few dimensions, right? So what you're talking about is, in the launch of a product, one of the long tent poles is really getting the legal work in place to say, like, okay, let's get these guys onboarded. That might take, that might take 3 or 4 weeks. Everything that you're seeing here is, out of the box visualizations and data sources that we have, from, call center to network to IT service management to DevOps to security, so on and so forth. Standing up these visualizations with a credential into the production system is really on the course of somewhere between single-digit and double-digit hours, right? So we turn on an instance that takes about 15 minutes. We populate the data from your environment that, depending on how big you are, how much history you want to bring in, that's into the 4 to 24 hours, at worst. And then what you have here is lit up. So this is a conceivable exercise. What I like to say is, building a CIO dashboard is a long afternoon, and it should be a pleasant afternoon, because you're able to, if you're in the management of IT, what you want to do with this dashboard is tell your story. And that's going to be pleasant, right? So you're formulating your mission statement, which is typically something like, bring new capabilities to the organization, ensure the availability of services, safeguard customer data, and modernize the infrastructure, right? And then telling about the individual KPIs and critical success factors that are supporting your organization's efforts to do that. Getting that into one place and saying, hey, these are the amazing things that we've done on a single pane of glass, measuring the progress of those things and telling that story to the board, that should be a happy day, right? And we'll show once once this finger finishes posting all its KPIs and visualizations to one place. It's really arranging those things and saying what's most important. What do we want to display top line? And then if anybody asks a question, each one of these visualizations is a window into further detail to support exactly, what your story is, down to the individual server, down to, an individual observation or incident. It's people that are the executives get one view, clicking down, it's the people managing that process, and another click takes you to the view that people need to do the actual work. And it's all working off the same data. And everybody knows, if I'm gathering data or I'm handling an incident, the work that I do is going to improve the KPIs that the executives are looking at, and they're a key part of the strategic goals of the organization.
And this is cutting across millions of records, right? And you're seeing the speed, right, of the sub-second response speed, filtered down to what matters to you. This is very broad view, but again, you see all those categories on the left there. All of those are filterable to what matters in your organization as well. So that you're seeing the data, what matters to you, being able to cut across those millions of records that you would want to see, right? Still same high level measurements, but filtered for what matters to you. And that's another big problem in many organizations, is one source of truth, right? That's the other piece that this helps lock down, put in place, is that one source of truth. And not only that one source of truth, but that one source of truth and filtered to what matters to you of whatever role you have in that organization.
Wow. In 5 minutes.
In 5 minutes.
There you go. And that, now your organization at a glance, all your ITSM metrics, a little bit of network, your DevOps story. What have I done? What have I done for the organization lately? Snapshotted CMDB information to say what's the quality of the CMDB and how does that unlock capabilities for the organization. Application performance, we do magic. So you want to tell that story. So anyway, that's a little bit of fun stuff there. And I'm going to give you back your screen, theoretically. Let's see, or if you can kick me out of it too, that's probably good.
I don't see the stop share on my side.
There we go. Sorry, there we go. All right, floating bar, but you were generous with your screen. I don't want to monopolize.
No, it was good. And that's kind of what we talked about. We wanted to be able to see that, because I think that is an ongoing challenge. I think you guys have heard it much more than I, that, we have this aspirational goal of having the information we need to make business decisions. We might know where the data sources are. We have the tools to get there, but that chasm between having those capabilities to being able to see it on a dashboard is big. And one of the things that I like about, our partnership with you guys is that as we work with organizations, we can come in, assuming we have the paper in place, and if not, we'll get it there. But to be able to stand that up very, very quickly, to do a POC so clients can see this with their own data, that does sound like a good afternoon. Yeah.
No, and what's nice about being able to partner with Thirdera with this is, as soon as you have the information from the dashboards, you can see, especially, with an experienced partner, you can see exactly where efforts need to be directed. You have a fact-based approach towards, the improvements that need to be made, and where you can push these KPIs forward and push the organization to a new level of maturity, right? And we've always appreciated working with you, and we do one thing that help people see, but we're not the hands that, that fix it. So, and Thirdera certainly is. So
nice. Well, I appreciate the time this morning. If any of those of you that are watching want to reach out and connect with us on LinkedIn, the three of us are easy to find. Do reach out, subscribe on YouTube. We're here every Monday or every Wednesday at 9 Mountain with Workflow Wednesday. But if you want to look at how a CIO dashboard might play out in your organization, what are your data sources? What are some of the business troubles that you're finding? I hope you would reach out to Northcraft and I that we'll be able to explore that with you. John and Ryan, thanks for joining me today. I sure appreciate your time.
Oh, pleasure's all ours. Thank you, Troy.
Our pleasure. Thanks, Troy.
All right, let me turn the stream off. Thanks again. Talk to you guys next week.